Okay, so in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about some issues I had with a recent build. So, this is the motherboard I had planned. It's the Gigabyte X99M Gaming 5, and it's a pretty decent motherboard. So it's MATX. It's got two PCIe 16 slots, some decent sound, lots of USB ports. So I thought, hey, I'm just going to use this in a build. Put like an 8-core in there, a couple video cards, small form factor, well, smaller form factor, and it'll be good. It was relatively cheap, but I had some issues with it. So I picked it up locally at a shop that I've used before. They test all their stuff. They say they test it. I've never had any issue to think otherwise. So then got it home, put the CPU in there, consulted the QVL for the memory, so the qualified vendor list for the memory on Gigabyte's site, grabbed some on Amazon, stuck it in there, and just threw it on the test bench for a real quick post before I put it in the actual case and everything. And well, it didn't post. So I had error code 60 here on the debug LED. So I looked up what the error code 60 was, and but before the error code 60 came, I could see that it was trying to train memory. So at this point, I'm like, okay, what's this error code? Looked it up. And I'm like, well, I know the CPU is good because I got it at the same shop. They test all their stuff. The motherboard is supposedly tested, so it's got to be memory. Because I saw that it was trying to train the memory. So then I double checked the memory model number with the memory I have and ordered. Everything checked out, except for the fact that on Gigabyte's QVL, it lists the same model memory as double-sided, and the memory I had was single-sided. And this can happen. Memory vendors do reuse model numbers, and this is an older board, so this is X99. This is a 4 or 5 years old, something like that. So, you know, it's only natural that memory vendors would reuse a model number, maybe update the PCB or the memory modules, change stuff around just a little bit. So I'm like, okay, you know, I didn't pay attention. This is my fault. I should have paid attention. Okay, those were double-sided modules on the supported memory list. So I go out and I get some more modules that are on the list. I make sure the double-sidedness, make sure the ranks, everything. Put them in here. Same error code. So at this point, I'm like, what? Why? So I have a ROG Edition 10 board. And so for those of you that don't know, that's a X99 board, just like this, X99. It's just the limited edition version that Republica Gamers puts out. So I had it in storage, brought it out, put the CPU in it, put the original memory that I bought in it, and it booted up perfect, no issues. So I'm like, okay, well, this is definitely a issue with the motherboard. So at this point, naturally, I've already cleared the CMOS, done all that stuff. So I go back on Gigabyte's website. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's a BIOS issue. Go through the BIOSes they had on the website, and one of them did say that it improved memory compatibility. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put in a flash drive, flash it, and it'll be good. Because Gigabyte and most other vendors, you can just put in a flash drive to one of the USB ports. You don't even have to have CPU or anything in there. It has a little controller on board, and you can just flash it, and there's no issue, right? So this is a really handy way to flash the BIOS. Well, the MATX version of this board, which is naturally this one, doesn't have that feature. so you can't flash it without a CPU or memory or anything. The ATX version, which is almost the exact same thing, just with an extra PCIe slot and naturally a different form factor, does have that feature. So I don't really know why Gigabyte decided to do this. I don't know, maybe they just didn't have enough room on the board, or they couldn't be bothered. Don't really know why. Well, this wasn't really a problem, because I have an SPI flasher. One of these guys. So, put it on the BIOS chips, flashed it to the latest BIOS, and it still didn't work. So, at this point, I'm like, okay, there's something definitely wrong with the board itself. And I probably should have done this sooner, but I contacted Gigabyte. I'm like, hey, look, these are the steps I took. And they're like, yeah, that's a board issue. But we can't do anything because it's out of warranty. So I'm like, oh, okay. So then I went back to the shop, and they decided to refund me for this. They said I could keep the board. They tested it too. It didn't work for them. So it's basically a giant, cool looking paperweight. And I ended up using another MATX board for the build. And worked out fine. Everything was cool. And it ended up fine. But I just wanted to share this with you. And I guess I should say that this is one of the issues with getting used parts for builds. Yeah, they say they test it, the shop say they test it, or the person says they test it, but when you bring it home, put a CPU and memory and stuff in it, and it doesn't work, you know, it may be out of warranty. I will say that this is probably the worst issue I've had with a used part, because usually people say they test it, it's tested, or you see it running, you know, you're kind of smart about what you buy. You usually have no issues. So I just wanted to share this with you. Thank you for watching.